working or you can't see the right thing, just jump in and let me know. But yeah, so Football Foundation Lionesses is play fund. So some of you would be aware that September 24, the Football Foundation had a published the Kelly Simmons review. So it was commissioned in 2023 to look into women and girls football around the country and various recommendations and ideas of how to improve it in terms of not only the playing of the football, but access to facilities, safety, and inclusivity. Some of the recommendations meant that we could keep to place in terms of our facilities, but one of the main things was recommendation 6.3, which was around the foundation ring fencing a budget for a new small grants program, specifically for female friendly improvements. So basically to enhance the women and girls game and accelerate what is already a very large growing game as part of the football network around the country. So the key parts to the scheme, there is a overall budget of £3 million. The maximum grant value is £25,000 and the minimum grant value of £1,500 will come onto more of that later about how that can work for you as well. But yeah, the main headline there, 75% Football Foundation funding is the max funding up to £25,000, and we'll be asking organisations for 25% match funding. So in terms of your partnership funding, we're looking at applications meeting the criteria that we'll go through shortly. There will be guidance documents published on our website. The county FAs will share them around. So there'll be your sort of standard FAQs documents, application guidance, and then obviously the grant assessment team as well will be on hand to help our inbox as normal with any of those things you want to ask us, and anything we can just help with your application. The scheme will also involve an annual review. So we'll be looking at how we've got on with the fund, what clubs and organisations have done to deliver against it, and where we can improve going on, and hopefully, as I said, accelerate that progress for the women and girls game that is on going at the minute. So what you're more looking to hear about, the fund itself. So you may have seen some publication online and a bit of advertising, but what we're looking at here is more to do with the eligible items and areas that you can apply for. So the presentation will be available afterwards, and obviously we'll publish some more guidance and things. So don't worry too much about having to write everything down as we go along, but I will talk you through it as we have it anyway. So first category, looking at signage. So entrance signs, room signage, directional signage. So what we're looking at there is how to access facilities and where to go within facilities, essentially. External lighting and CCTV. So a huge part of enhancing facilities is around safety and making people, particularly in this case, women and girls, feel more comfortable in the facilities themselves. So car park lighting, pathways, building lights, internal, and then looking at CCTV itself. In toilets areas, we're looking at sanitary bins, hooks, improvements to lighting again, fittings including mirrors, vanity units, fans, creation of additional toilets, and provision of superloos, which is essentially where you've got a toilet sink in this one facility rather than having rooms or areas for those as well. Shower improvements, so new shower cubicles and conversion of open showers to cubicles, very much looking at taking away the old style showers and making them more in line with current safeguarding requirements. Baby change and breastfeeding facilities, so the installation of baby change product into an existing room, new baby change rooms, space for breastfeeding, expressing mothers, sink installation and microwave sterilisation. Again, on all of the categories, there'll be more information coming on the next pages about how we'll be looking for you to apply and what we're looking for within those applications. But this, as I say, is overall headline features. Female officials and player privacy changing spaces. So specific areas for female officials rather than a designated officials room that is likely to be male orientated when it was first constructed, and female changing spaces. So separate change rooms to male change rooms. Again, primarily when facilities were originally constructed, it was probably on that basis. Change room improvements. So things like hair dryers, electrical lighting, heating, and decoration. Things within the clubhouse along the lines of coffee machines and comfortable seating areas, and then external cover spaces looking at canopies or coverings outside the pavilion, hard standing and benches outside the pavilion as well. So we're not looking at just improving the internal side of your building. We're also looking at funding in terms of the external spaces as well, which can obviously help with parents, spectators, players, people visiting the facility having a nicer area to sit and perhaps purchase some items from the clubhouse. So, in terms of some further guidance around the criteria, and again, don't worry too much about note taking because we'll send this round. I appreciate there is a lot of information going on to be fired at you in one go. So, in terms of signage, what we're looking for is gender neutral signage. So, getting away from words like men and women, using pictograms representing toilet or urinal. So, getting away from the old style of men and women and making facilities much more inclusive as we go along. And then including signage near building entrances, identifying washrooms, change rooms, and how to find it. If you want to look up how this has been decided, there is the Sport England party wayfinding and signage requirements and rules, which is a document you can read through at a later date. In terms of external lighting, we're looking at, obviously, as we said before, lighting for car parks, pavilions, walkways between facilities, with particular attention to gradients of the walkways, steps, curbs. So highlighting areas that may prevent some safety issues, and also lighting areas so people will feel more comfortable in terms of walking between facilities and areas that may have been dark and felt unsafe in previous times. Lighting levels, you'll be looking to have some consultation with community, local authority, police, so safety balance with impact on the local area, depending on where your facility is in relation to other facilities in the area. That's sort of your consultation of how you want to go about that. Obviously, if it's quite an isolated facility, you'll have less of that necessary than if you're in the middle of housing and things like that. The lamps, the current rendering index, I won't go into what that is, but basically above 60 will give you a better visibility. If we're looking at CCTV, we want to make sure that the lighting is compatible so that by installing the CCTV and lighting, it doesn't negate the effect that the CCTV would have. And then you've got your lux levels there of what we would expect to see. All these areas we have done in consultation with our technical project managers and the technical team at the Football Foundation. So this has been sort of analysed down to what we think the key criteria is and how we can best deliver with these facilities when you're looking to invest in them. Toilets, we're looking at stalls that can accommodate more than one person supporting elderly, young, or disabled if they need assistance, as well as your single stall toilets as well. All the sinks, requirements for accessibility, lockers, hair dryers, dispensers need to be integrated in terms of allowing for any of the people with diverse needs to be able to access them, as well as anyone that doesn't fit into those categories. But also with toilets, we're looking to make them more in line with the gender neutral signage as we looked above as well. Door lock facilities indicating whether the stalls are occupied. I know that seems like a simple thing, but it does allow for a bit of an increase in safety and feeling comfortable within those facilities as well. And they also allow staff on the site to monitor whether they are occupied or if they've been occupied for a considerable period of time, whether there may be potential safety issues at all. Shower improvements, a big one here is they need to all be for cubicle showers. So we're moving away, along with safeguarding guidelines, moving away from open showers into cubicle showers. Again, allowing for safeguarding people with a more comfortable and safe environment to change in and to have showers in, and to allow for more types of users to be able to use the building. Often we've found while men's and boys teams may be more comfortable with this, it's obviously something we need to consider with safeguarding, and with the women and girls game growing, we need to be able to make sure all the facilities are open and used for everyone. Cubicles need to be floor to ceiling height. So obviously the safeguarding concerns again. Stall enclosure doors not full height. They need to prevent areas where you can look over or under those showers, and the walls need to be solid. So we're not looking for plexiglass walls or essentially see-through walls. It needs to be solid walls for privacy for any shower improvements that you're looking to build. The baby changing facilities, they need to be gender neutral buildings and rooms so that any fathers, mothers, parents of all types are able to access them. And also family size WC where possible. That is a possible, not requirement, but it would be preferable if that was available within that room as well. The number and location in terms of consultation with your users and who you've got the site. So depending on how many users you have and what type and how many available spaces you have in the building. Everything tested to FIRA safety standards. We can get some more explanations for you about what that is if you would like. And they have a weight limit and antibacterial finish as well. Low decibel hand dryer, and all the rooms should include a nappy bin, hand sanitizer, and soap dispenser. So, for those facilities, when you're getting your quotations, those should be the sort of things that you wrap up within those areas as well. For the female room and privacy spaces, so the second officials room needs to include changing space, cubicle shower, and WC. So basically mirroring what we would expect from a normal officials room, we would want it for the additional officials room as well. Sockets, mirrors, vanity units, sight lines into change rooms should be cut out, and there should be staggered entrances in terms of a lobby or screens. Again, you'll notice a sort of running theme that through consultation when setting up the criteria for the scheme that we had around the country, safety and safeguarding was a huge thing that we want to impress on people and to help with the women and girls game and make sure everyone has a safe place to play. These are the kind of things that we've been looking at. Corridors need to have solid walls and doors, cubicle panel system in open change room privacy, and then they need to have, changing benches and provide mirrors within those official rooms as well. Changing rooms, some additional bits here. So flooring needs to be anti-slip. So again, another safeguarding requirement and safety. Certification for any mechanical and electrical work. So any of you that will have applied for small grants before for any clubhouse or changing room works, one of the requirements, as you'll be aware, is having these completion certificates at the end to show that it's been completed to an appropriate standard. This is going to be the same here, that we'll be using that for as well. Vinyl wrap options with imagery. So if you want to display images of female footballers or any icons that you want to display on the walls, to be available for that. Change rooms, as you say, have to apply and comply with their safeguarding guidance. The first one of the items that you'll see where there is a maximum grant available. So hair dryers, there'll be a maximum grant of £150. So probably one thing to mention here, you can apply for multiple items within your application. So you're not limited to, if you apply for change rooms, you can't apply for anything else. But it should just be noted that if you are applying for an item like hair dryers as well, that there is a maximum grant value within that category. Further improvements to clubhouses, if you're looking at tables, probably doesn't need saying, but they need to be stable but movable. So we're not looking at fixed tables. You're looking at stuff you're able to move around, so you can use your space as effectively as you need to. Bars and self-service counters have accessible accuracy. So make sure staff, whoever they are able to use it and get behind there and serve customers. A self-service tray count height of 850 millimeters. Again, there's some guidance available if you need diagrams or anything like that to see where it is. Coffee machines, as we said before, some of the items have maximum grant values. So with this one, it is £1,500 for a coffee machine is the maximum grant amount. External covered spaces. So as well as this, coaching areas used by female and male coaches and players for pre-game or post-game. So not just for players and coaches, but this would be an area they might use to explain tactics to their team or discuss the game afterwards, and have somewhere safe and dry that they can gather underneath, as well as for spectators, officials, members of the public that might be using a clubhouse should you have that facility available. So, in terms of eligibility, there'll be some things as we go along that you'll recognise if you have applied to the Football Foundation before for the small grant scheme. That will come across and they will be the same, but there are a few key differences as we go along. So, just to have a bit of highlighted things as we go along. If you're applying for the Here to Play fund, you need to be facilitating regular organised community or grassroots football. So this can't be ad hoc or unsupervised play. We will expect you to provide evidence of this during the application. So in terms of when you explain what your facility is and who your users are, this is the area you're looking. We will be looking to consult with county FAs through these applications as well. So if you need any help with the sort of teams and the way of writing them out, I'm sure that will be available to you as well. And obviously, if we have any questions, we can answer them along the way. In terms of who can apply, it is our normal criteria. So, not for profit, football voluntary groups, local authorities, county FAs, professional club community organisations. A key one being education establishments, but they have to be providing facilities for the community. It can't be a school providing facilities for itself. It needs to be open for the community. Registered charities, not for profit companies, CSCs, and also companies limited by guarantee. So those are the eligibility types. Anything that's you feel outside that or hasn't been covered, be free to discuss as well with you. And if you want to email me about it, that's absolutely fine. Happy to take that on. People that can't apply, we're looking at individuals or sole traders, national governing bodies, commercial entities, clubs in the Premier League, Football League, or National League system, steps 1 to 6, or the women's pyramid at tier 1 to 4. We also don't provide funding for those clubs within the Welsh Premier League system. Again, as we mentioned before, if it's an educational establishment that's only providing facilities for their students, they wouldn't be eligible for this scheme. It needs to be a community access as well as just for their students. Some of the differences we're starting to come on to in terms of the scheme itself now. If you are looking to apply on the smaller scale of the application, which, as I say, minimum grant is £1,500 as 75% of a total project cost, that's fine. But if you're looking to apply for things like signage, central bins, hairdryers, or coffee machines, they can't be applied for as single items. So you would have to be combining them as part of a broader application. That we wouldn't be accepting those as an application on their own. Similar to the small grant scheme, we're looking at one application per organisation within a 12-month period. Obviously, we will on occasion consider them on a case-by-case basis, but the funding is a limited amount. So be careful to make sure you bundle your application into as much as you can between one. And then if you need to do another one, there's the 12-month period following on from that as well. But obviously we can have those discussions, but that is the general rule that we will be following. Retrospective funding, as with everything with the Football Foundation side of grants, any costs incurred before approval. So that means when we've offered the grant and the grant has been accepted, which is when the contract is entered into, any costs incurred or orders made before that will be considered ineligible and your project unfortunately will be withdrawn at that stage. So it's very important to make sure you have got an application in, assessed, approved and accepted before you begin any elements of your project. Again, happy to discuss that in more detail if you need to. The specific criteria for the Here to Play Fund. So you need to show your commitment to women and girls football. We'd look for you to do this in collaboration with the County FA in terms of implementing a development plan for women and girls football at the site. So we'll be looking for things like sustainable growth, participation, and the County FA's strategic priorities. Again, if you need more information on that, we'd like to arrange calls with the County FA and ourselves. We'd be more than happy to facilitate that and arrange to talk through what we're expecting from that. The other criteria is if you are an affiliated club, we will be expecting you to engage with the FA's Equal Game programme. So the three options that you've got are that you've already attended a workshop, that you're booked onto a workshop, or that you're on the waiting list for the next workshop. We will have access and share these with the county FAs, and we will be expecting proof of this as part of the application and as part of the terms and conditions grant. So, and again, happy to discuss that further, but that is one of the non-negotiables for the scheme. If you're not an affiliated club, so if you're applying as a local authority, as an educational facility, something like that, this condition doesn't apply to you. So this is only if the club itself is applying. So documentation, again, some similarities in terms of the small grant scheme and other schemes that you might have seen and applied to. We'll be looking for a minimum of sort of 5 years security of tenure for all applications. So that is regardless of what you are applying for. That is what we will need in your application. You'll need this as a document when you start your application. So whether this be a freehold document or leasehold document, we would also accept if you would to submit a joint application. That is also another option that you have available to you as well. Planning permission, there is an expectation that planning and building regulations are likely not to be required for most of the projects unless it is a full scale building works that you're looking to do. We'll still need you to make sure that you've demonstrated why you don't believe it within your application. So whether this be an official confirmation or a discussion with likely the local authority or local planning authority, we will need something in writing to say that this isn't required for your project. If it is required and it is planning permission, obviously we will need the planning permission confirmation before anything can get going. Quotes, something to note before you submit your application. You will need 2 quotes for each item that you're looking to apply for. So the system is likely to only split them into quote 1 and quote 2. What we'd ask is you upload your best value for money quotes for all of your items in one side and your best value quotes for all the items on the other side. So basically you have the blunt way of putting it, the lower value quotes one side, the higher value quotes the other side. Appreciate that is slightly different from other applications, but basically every item that you apply for within the scheme, you will need 2 like for like quotes that we can assess against. Match funding, a minimum of 25%. So the expectation is that most projects will be looking to fund at 75% with 25% partnership funding. If the project's funding requires more than our 75% over £25,000, then the organisation will be expected to fill in the missing gap beyond their 25% if required. We'll need evidence of your match funding head of submission. So whether this be a letter from your funders confirming your funding or a bank statement showing that you have the available capital for the project, that would be the types of items that we'd be looking for. Anyone that's applied building works before, or if you haven't, one of the criteria for Football Foundation T's and C's is that if it is building works grants under 25,000, we'll be holding back the final 5% until your project is finished. So this would be where we would require photos of the completed building works and then any completion certificates along the lines of things we mentioned earlier, like electrical certificates or mechanical certificates. Further examples, then happy to provide to you later on. Those are the general items that we're looking for as supporting documentation. You'll be able to write more around what your application is and why you're looking to apply and how you'll be looking to improve and progress women and girls football on the site. These are the items in terms of documentation we'd be looking for you to support it. So in terms of next steps, the website will be up to date with guidance in terms of how to make your facility more welcoming and inclusive for women and girls, but also with information on what sort of things you should consider before applying and in terms of research on what items will be best for you to target during your application. We'd ask that you carry out research with the women and girls, teams, users, participants, spectators using your site, and then look at the available items before creating an eligible list that you think will be best placed for you to apply for. Again, we're happy to do some consultation with you as well, but we'd ask that you do this feedback for yourself to be able to create a list that would be best suited for your application. Those who haven't created a Football Foundation account or logged back into theirs, if you already have one, you will need a verified organisation and 2 verified contacts. If you are a football club, this has to be 2 of chair, secretary, or treasurer. For football clubs, we don't take applicants that are not one of those 3 roles. just to be very, very clear from the outset. If you're another organisation type other than the football club, you have a longer list, but we will need to be able to verify you as part of that organisation and able to sign and submit applications on their behalf. You'll also need a verified site where the items will be used. So that's going to be the location of the building or facility. Again, this is all going to be part of the verification process that we can discuss offline if you haven't done this already. Something key to remember, once you've logged in, the link to this application isn't specifically within your Football Foundation portal. You'll need to go back to the Lionesses Here to Play Fund application page, and there will be a link within that. I will post that link in the chat once we finish. So just make sure that you're still logged in to your account, click that link, and it will open up the funding page for you. In certain things that you need when you're completing your application, obviously familiarize yourself with the items and grant limits that you're wanting to do. Description of how your items will help improve and make women and girls football more welcoming and inclusive at your site. We'd ask that you liaise with your county FA first in terms of the development of the plan for women and girls. 2 quotes as a minimum for each item that you're looking to apply for. It's not required, but if you want to submit 3, you're more than welcome to. But we only require 2, but it is for each eligible item type. And we will look to ask you for them if we don't have them when you submit your application. And lastly, as we mentioned before, you need to have been completed, signed up, or on the waiting list for the FA's Equal Game workshop. More information on that we can pass around as well as we go along. So that is a quick whiz through of the scheme. Appreciate that is a lot of information to take in one go. And obviously, you'll be around to take questions from you as well. My email address is there. If there's something after you get the recording that you want to query or question, more than happy to arrange phone calls and emails with everyone as well to go through. I will stop sharing screen and the presentation there, and any questions in the chat